Hey, what's up? It's your man, Greg Merriweather. Welcome to the Unmitigated Truth. Man, today is going to be a good show. Of course, we always try to bring that, of course. We got a brother, man. I've been knowing this guy for a long time. Uh, went to high school together. Uh, he's a native of Indianapolis. He's a brother who is out here doing some work. I don't know what he just did to his screen, but I'm gonna wait on him. But he's out here doing some work talking about business. A lot going on. We live in a crazy, wild economy. Things are definitely changing. Um, you know, gas is high, food is high, bills are high, energy is high, all those types of things. So when we come back, man, we're gonna bring this guest on, man. I think this should be an exciting show, and I'm looking forward to speaking to my brother. So when we get back, man, we'll get it started. So welcome to the Unmitigated Truth. Good afternoon and welcome to the Unmitigated Truth, where we don't sugarcoat it, we don't water it down, and we definitely don't play about it. We don't play it safe at all. I'm your host, Greg Merriweather, and you are locked in with us from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. So let's be clear. We are in a shift. For years, people built businesses on cheap money and loose discipline, but that era is over. Now, capital is strategic. Efficiency is demanded. Margins are under a microscope. So the question is, are you built for this environment? Because there is a window open right now. And today we're talking about why you need to go through it. Joining me today is a man who doesn't just talk business, he builds it, structures it, and teaches others how to win in it. Owner of Food by the Word, host of The Window is Open and Why You Should Go Through It. This is my brother and your brother, my brother, James Montgomery. Brother,
Hey, how's it going, brother? How's it going?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Been listening to you all morning.
Yeah. Oh, man. I had a brief stint where I kind of got out of, I had a few things I needed to get off my chest, man. So
I
yeah,
feel
man.
you. I
Yeah.
feel you. That's what's good.
Yeah, man. So I'm glad to have you on, man. You and I, we talk all the time. We shoot ideas, the whole nine. So I'm just excited to have you on. So let's start here before the strategy, before the success. Who is James Robert
Well,
Montgomery?
James Robert Montgomery, father, husband, follower of Christ, businessman, son of Frank Montgomery, born in Colorado Springs, raised in Indianapolis. Just it's funny because I ask that question of other people. I'm saying, who are you? Who are you? Who are you? And I'm constantly trying to answer that myself. As I hit 52 years old this year. I'm constantly rediscovering who God created me originally to be.
Sure.
So I now know a lot more about who James Robert Montgomery Sr. is, and you know it's funny because those of you who deal with me on purpose, as I call you, people who deal with me on purpose, you guys know that I'm kind of set apart. I'm a little bit different, but that's exactly who I am. And that's exactly how I'm supposed to be, especially for a time such as now.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I'm glad to have you on, brother. So
Yes.
let's talk about this. Entrepreneurial beginnings, founding when you found Food by the Word, early failures and lessons, transitions from hustle to structure. When did it click for you that most people don't have a business, they have chaos?
Well, that's here 10 years into Food by the Word, the reality of it is my father set the blueprint for me way back when. When it comes to business and entrepreneurship and what it looks like in real life, but as he was training me, to go out into the workforce, but he was actually showing me in real life by bringing me into his business and antiques and everything, selling, secondhand furniture on 25th and Hillside, 28th and Capitol, and really being in the community, like for real, literally moving money around and dealing with other entrepreneurs and showing me and bringing, setting me inside of that and showing me, who he's dealing with, he's affiliated with, he's dealing with, white men, black men, all these different men from all over the city. They're not friends, they're business associates, who are, in some of them sell high scale products, some of them sell secondhand just on the street type of stuff. But he deals with all of them, and I'm watching him actually work in real time, hand in hand with these men on a day-to-day basis, selling products, moving products, legally distributing products on the street. Not while everybody else is doing the illegal hustles, they're doing the legal hustles, and they're building families, they're building organizations, and I'm watching them work hand in hand. They know, okay, I'm not out here to take anything out of him. I'm not actually helping one another. They knew their lane.
Yeah.
They knew their lane, and that helped them to build. But I'm watching this in real time. He's introducing me to them. I'm sitting there listening to these gentlemen, talk. These guys, some of them 80, 90 years old, still out here picking up furniture and, getting up and down on trucks and whatnot. And this went on for years and years and years and years and years. He's training me in entrepreneurship in real time as I'm seeing and viewing all of these local businesses that we once had in Indianapolis, from the grocery store on the corner to the mechanic shop on the corner. I never had to leave my neighborhood to interact with these businesses, get my hair cut, you can buy a television, you can buy music, you can buy whatever. But I'm seeing all this in real time, and I'm talking to the owners. I'm talking to the owners. I'm not talking to, the guy who works for the guy. I'm talking to the guy, the guy or the lady who owns the whole business. And I'm watching them every day, and I'm interacting with them every day. I'm a child growing up just like everybody else. I'm not realizing what I'm being, what I'm actually seeing in real life. But at 10 years old, my father gets me a newspaper route. And so from then, now I'm having to get out on the street myself and, go hand in hand to neighbors. And I don't know these people, what I'm saying? But here it is. I'm 10 years old. I'm going, I'm bringing you your product, give me, I need the money every week. We got to go collect the money and so forth, but I'm being trained in real entrepreneurship in real life. Fast forward, to adulthood. I'm still working with my father as I'm getting out into the world, doing, going into work for other places, but I'm constantly going back and gravitating because if he tells me to do it, I'm doing it. So I'm coming back to him and I'm seeing it in real time, in real life. I'm seeing it grow. I'm seeing all the failures and all the falls. But so fast forward to Food by the Word, and I'm already knowing now. Not only did I get the experience from my entrepreneurship from my father, but at this time I've spent several years working in franchises and in corporate industries, as a general manager, as an operations manager, and actually being able to, get into because their whole thing was, have an ownership mindset. That's what they taught us inside of these companies. Right, so now I'm building with, serious, revenue P&Ls. I'm dealing with, strategizing. I'm dealing with, setting goals, working on last year's projections, planning for, 3% growth on an annual basis. So now I'm dealing with actual, larger numbers, and I'm being held responsible for not just myself and my store, but a team of people who all, I hire them, I fire them, I train them, I put them in work. I actually provide, the structures using the system of the company that I work for, because that, like I say, they want me to own my location, and operate it as such. And so I get to mix all that together. Fast forward to Food by the Word. Well, I knew something had changed though. Back in 2016, it was a break for me. It was a physical break. My physical body went through changes, and I'm trying to stay alive because we're going through health issues. But at the same time, the whole environment shifted. I knew something was different. I was the operations manager in 2016, and I went into work one day, have a great day at work. I'm thinking everything's great. Well, come lunchtime, a little bit after lunchtime, they called me in and they said, we decided to part ways. We don't feel like you're a good fit. Sure. Oh, okay. No warnings, no write-ups, no nothing. No, that's the conversation. I'm like, but I get it because I know, how this thing works. I know how operations works. I know how, how we run business and everything. I'm like, I know it's Indiana, it's an at-will work employment state. I'm like, got you, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, well, it's a shame, but I learned a lot from that. But coming out of that, this was in 2016, getting back out here, I had elevated over the past few years before that happened. Took myself back to school, educated myself on some things. I had saw that things were different. Things were different. Took myself back to college, and college had changed. So I went for supply chain and logistics. That's what I was going back for, right? It had changed. I was doing a lot of, from when I first went to college back in the 90s, yourself, we was going to class every time. If you learned everything was in class.
Sure.
Well, now now 90% of what I'm learning, I'm having to learn on my own at home on my computer and so forth. And I'm like, okay, I know that's changed. I know the market's changed. I know the market had totally shifted. We had just come out of the Great Recession. So I know everything's different, right?
Sure.
And so I put all that together, culminated all that together. And then, after, looking for work for about a month after being let go for no just cause, I was like, God, this, what's happening? And then we had another grandchild. And I'm like, I don't have nothing for my grandchildren. I don't have nothing for my grandchildren. And then God birthed Food by the Word into me in that moment. It was in 2016.
So what's Food by the Word?
Food by the Word, we provide quality products for your everyday. It's it's basically it's an online platform. You go on there, you shop whenever you want to shop, and then we get the products out to you. When we began initially, my whole concept was, I'm gonna make a sandwich. I'm gonna open up a restaurant. That's what Food by the Word started out as. I was gonna open up a deli style restaurant. That's what it started out as. But as I'm growing, and I'm like, okay, what do I need to do to start my business? I got to get the licenses. Where can I do a food truck? Can I get a restaurant, a facility? I had no money, so I started out incrementally with money I had. Okay, you got it. What do you have to do legally? That's where I started. What do you have legally? I have to get this license. I have to get certified to get this. I have to get certified for my own self. But I've done that. Been doing that in other companies and businesses, but now I got to pay for it myself.
Yeah.
So now I got to get certified. I got to get the food license and so forth. So that's how it began.
So it's actually food.
Yeah, it was actually food.
Okay.
That was the whole, that was the whole point starting out. But as it transitioned, as I started growing and started doing more with it, and dealing with distributors, vendors and so forth, I started getting access to the different products and so forth. I first built my website. That was the first thing I did. First built my website, and then started going from there and started building my online presence. Because what I did know was social media, especially then, that's what you had to do. That was your marketing. That's what you had to do. You had to go through that. There was no way around it. And so that's how I started out. And once I started doing all that, a lot of falls, a lot of failing, a lot of, where are you going to get the business at?
What was your first failure?
First failure was in not knowing how much about myself I needed to know about myself.
Okay, so explain that. So as a person who has gone into business, I think that here's what I'll say. A lot of times people will say, well, go into business for yourself. And they say it as if this is easy work. Whereas you have to address, one, are you a go-getter? Two, are you a good delegator? Are you a person who can sell? And if you're not a lot of these things, do you have a network of people that you can get to do it for you? How do you look at this and then you go and say, okay, this is what I was good at, but this is what I was not good at?
It's that's one thing I developed a whole pattern of personal development. First and foremost, you got to understand you're going from an employee mindset to an entrepreneurial mindset. And that's a paradigm shift that most people never make. Let's just be honest with it. It's a paradigm shift that most people never make. We're not conditioned to make that switch. This doesn't come natural to anybody, especially when you've been trained and indoctrinated into a system of being an employee. Being you go here, you get that, and if you do this, you get that. Well, you have to get an entrepreneurial mindset or a business owner mindset, which those are two different things too. Because you can be a business owner and still not be an entrepreneur. Which that's something that I talk about, especially in our seminar. A lot of people should own businesses but not operate businesses. But the reality of it is because eventually everybody's going to have to own a business just to have anything. But that mindset, and so that was my first failure, is thinking, okay, I know how to make a sandwich. I know how to make a great sandwich. I know how to sell some stuff. I know how to market. I know how to do all these things. But what I didn't know was how much my mental, how much I had to really get back in touch. Okay, now who's James? Who are you? You know, because you're doing a big thing. First of all, you named your company Food by the Word. Why did you do that? Because you love the Lord, because you love the Word of God, because you want to put God in front on everything. Well, you know that's not going to make you popular. You
Correct.
know that's going to get, matter of fact, that's going to get you a lot of vitriol. A lot of people are going to, run from you.
Yeah.
So you have to plant your feet in that. You named it Food by the Word. Just in the name of it has really, and I knew it going in, but I didn't realize what I failed on was not being self-aware enough to know, okay, how is it going to affect those who I do know,
Mm-hmm.
the people that I do know.
Mm-hmm.
How they're going to, for 42 years, I was 42 at the time. For 42 years, everybody's known me like this.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm pulling up with a bright idea. I'm gonna sell sandwiches. And, I'm thinking to myself, everybody who knows me, I'm good. I'm gonna start there. Everybody's gonna be no.
No, it's definitely a different world, because when it's all said and done, I mean, even for, I won't even say business. Let's, kind of transition. Even when you are attempting to do something that's abnormal in your community, whether it be a podcast, whether it be, let's say somebody's decided to become a financial advisor. We don't see a lot of those. It's things that when you make that decision to kind of go right, when most of the people are going left, you'll typically find yourself by yourself. How do you propose that people do that, or how do they deal with that when they find that in building business, most of the time, the people that you believe you're going to get support from are typically not the people who support you?
Yeah. Look, honestly, to be honest with you, first of all, I say, what I'm saying, get your prayer life in order. For one, get your prayer life in order. If you're not a follower, I don't know what to tell you. Believe in what you believe in, but get your prayer life together. Because the reality of it is internally now, us in our generation, we have a benefit. Mm-hmm. We have a benefit of having an intestinal fortitude. That's because we've been latchkey kids. We've been independent for a long time. So for us, it's a different gear, and we have to understand that other generations, even before and after us, don't necessarily possess that gear. But the reality of it is we have to, you have to dig down in there and say, okay, take a step back, mm-hmm. remove yourself from the thought process, and see how the world sees it. See how the world sees what you're doing. See how the world sees you. And as you're stepping back, have a broader mindset. My father always used to tell me, I need you to see broader. I need you to see bigger. I need you to open your eyes and see more. And all those lessons that he gave me started to really rush back to me. Okay. And in doing that, I found myself having to, address, okay, what's really, where am I really at? Who am I really? And once I came to terms with that, started reading my mentors, because here's one of the blessings that I got from my father is he gave me a team of mentors, older men that had a lot of life experience, and a lot of different men, a lot of diverse men, and they would feed into me. Just one-liners, dig the well before you get thirsty, stuff like that. They would feed into me. They say, okay, I need you to read this book. I need you to read this book. I need you to read this book.
How hard is that today when people don't read?
Here's the reality. And
like, how many people, and from where we're from, who now look like I'm an author, okay? Mm-hmm. And I look now, and I got people who are close to me who have my book. I can ask 1,000 of them how many of them actually read it. I guarantee you it's less than 10%. So when we look at it now, and we live in an era where if I really want to do it, it's probably easier. If I really want to do it, because Greg Merriweather now can get on here, have a whole production going on, got a ticker going across the middle. Your name is on here. You in a whole different city. I'm in a whole different city. We got people watching. But here's the crazy point. The point is, a lot of people are not successful simply because they won't read. So how do we get people now when I look and I say, all right, Brother James, you're trying to develop some entrepreneurs. You're going to have this conference coming up. if it requires them to read, what do you do?
here's here's the reality. One of the things that we're all in this world. We're all
Mhm.
in this world, and in 2020, we all got hit with a pandemic that no one was exempt from.
Okay.
You know, the environment, everybody got set down in one way or another. Everybody got set
True.
down mostly at home, you know, like sit down, don't touch nothing.
Yeah.
Like literally, right?
Yeah.
That has never happened in our lifetime ever, and in
Correct.
most people's lifetime ever. The reality of it is now we're getting picked apart. We're getting picked apart, being made to do this, made to do that, made to do this. Here's how I put this. Pick your hard, choose your hard. If you don't
Mm.
want to read nothing, okay, guess what? The ones who's reading something is who you're going to be working for, and you're going to be, you know, and in all intents and purposes, they're gonna break you like a slave. And
True.
so either you choose to read some stuff,
Mhm.
you figure it out, use the technology. If you don't want to read the book, let it be read to you. You
Yeah.
know, that's the
Yeah.
reality. That's why, you know, I've got tons of books. That's why I only make ebooks anymore. Why do I only make ebooks? Because here's the thing: if you want to print it out and have a paper, go right ahead. But if you want to get it read to you, that's what you need to do. If you need to get the information into you, you need to get the information into you. The
True.
technology that we have in hand right now makes it no excuse. If you're
True.
driving 2 hours a week, you know, back and forth to work, well, guess what? You get one of these ebooks and let it be read to you while you're driving. Instead of listening to you know, Shake Your Tail or whatever is, you know, popular or whatever, you know, how about you listen to this book on your way back and forth so you can get fed whatever the knowledge is.
In a world when you look at, let's just say, let's break down clientele.
Mhm.
Typically in your day to day, what does your clientele demographically look like? Is it more Caucasian? Is it more black? What is it?
It's interesting. I call it Mr. Friendly. That's my ideal. You know, Mr. Friendly is typically white or Asian,
Yeah.
typically white or Asian, some black females,
Okay.
but mostly because the dollar items that I sell, you know, especially the ones that sell, you know, good, they're not, not, $1 here, $1 there. The reality of it is it's quality products and people know what they want. And so they just get it. They don't, you don't, I don't have to sell, I don't have to, they come and get it. They know what they want and they pay them, they pay the price, they pay the cost,
Mhm.
whatever it may be. And so, you know, the reality of it is, and that's a good question because it has grown and it has grown way past where I thought it would initially. Go back 10 years. Initially, I'm like, everybody, in Indianapolis, I'm gonna make the sandwich to fit and I'm gonna make the,
Yeah.
make the prices to fit the community and everything. Well,
Yeah.
prices was nice, the prices was cheap and everything else. People still didn't want it. People
Yeah.
still didn't want it. The community didn't want it. Because why?
Sure.
Because, let's be honest, food by the word, the name,
Yeah.
people didn't want to be affiliated with it. People didn't want to be
Sure.
affiliated with it, no matter what they
Sure.
say. Even
Yeah.
Christians. I'm like, what? How do they do that? But this is the reality.
Not even the church.
This is the reality. This is the reality.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
But the reality of it is, I had that. That's one thing I had to learn. I don't call it a failing. I call that a learning curve because I knew things had changed. I knew business as usual was dead.
Yeah.
I knew that. I didn't know how it was changed. I knew that it had changed because the world had changed after the Great Recession. I watch these things. I'm in it. I mean, I used to work for Donatos for a lot of years. I love Donatos and I give them all their kudos and everything. Worked there for a lot of years. I literally saw how the economy knocked that whole business model way down. My first store that I was a general manager was in Columbus, Ohio. And the Great Recession knocked out like 400 jobs out of Cummins, which decimated the economy in the town, which closed the first store that I was a general manager at. And I had to lay everybody off in one day. They didn't even know. I had to lay them off in one day. Fast forward, so I knew things had changed massively, right?
Yeah.
So when I started my own business, I'm like, okay, marketing is not the same. How am I going to get the attention? I'm already getting, negative feedback from, those around me. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, okay, I got to ride this on out. Because here's the thing that happened, though, Greg. When God birthed food by the word into me and my paradigm shift, I knew something was different because I was committed to it. Because I was, I'm a total line guy. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm a, take one for the team. Hold the team down. I'm the guy, at work, I'm saying I'm gonna come in early and leave late, and I'm gonna do it for the team and everything. But my mind has shifted to the point where I'm like, oh, I know I got to do this. That's why I say God birthed it in me.
Yeah.
This is not for the faint of heart. But here's the thing, though. My father had already been training me all of these years. I just didn't realize it.
Right.
He'd already been training me. He'd already done all of this. I'm like, there's nothing new under the sun here. I'm not brand new. I'm not doing nothing brand new. This is what it is. But the reality of it is, now we're in a time where we're seeing more. We have access to information. We have access to, venues like this. We're learning more. We're tapped into way more information than we were tapped into.
Now the question is, are we learning more? Are we?
We have to.
So watch this. I want to show this. I'm gonna show you something. We're gonna bring in a clip. I want you to watch this clip. I want everybody to watch this clip because I think this clip is super, super, super important. Let me do this. We're gonna talk about it after we watch this.
That's what's up.
All right, here we go. Let's see. Let's get out of that. Get rid of you. Somebody's chiming in.
Here in the Black community, more of a norm than it is in other races. I was watching this Taylor Chandler video, and he makes a good point. Check it out.
Black women have the support of a massive group that participates in ratchet behavior and ratchet thinking. Now, white, Asian, and Hispanic, they got ratchet people, but you had to go away from the group to do that. They don't house you. They don't nurture that. The Black community, the massive group accepts it and nurtures it. It's totally backwards. Rather than sending the ratchets away, the massive Black groups bring the ratchets. There's a safe space for them. When they're confronted, you look like the minority because you are the minority that confronts that culture, and they're the majority. This is the only group, this is the culture where the ratchets has the power socially, the nerds, the high value minded people. When I'm talking about high values, I'm talking about pro-social values, generosity, respect, honor, faithfulness, kindness. I'm talking about community. High values your way of being. The people like us, we in the Black community are the rejects. In other groups, the ratchets are the rejects. In other groups, that's for entertainment for them. They go home doing the right thing. The smart people are elevated because they know you're the key to our progress. In our group, the smart ones are rejected and they think you trying to oppress them. It's interesting. You're so backwards. You think we're trying to oppress you. We're trying to free you.
So yeah, that's the same thing.
So when you see this, and then you say, okay, well, let's talk about business. Let's talk about, us getting better. Let's talk about people reading. Let's talk about, the discussions that I have day in and day out. Right now, you started Food by the Word. You're working on a conference. You're trying to get people prepared. We're talking about AI is taking over. Bills are high, so on and so forth. But when you say, how do I look at myself individually and my family and saying, I am dedicated to building my business, but I'm also from the hood. How do you separate this? Because typically what I'm learning is if I got on here every single day and I did stupid stuff, I'd be probably number one. It would be exciting to see a brother like me act a fool. More people will be excited to see me act a fool than me to carry myself and say, he's wrapped in the right package. He's able to speak the King's language. He's knowledgeable, this, that, and the other. More people would pay to see me act a fool than to be this. So how do you say, all right, Meriwether, you can want to help your community all day, but is that going to help you? How do I and how do we, the people who watch and saying, I want to run my own business, but at the same time, I want to help my people because I'm one of them, but me trying to help my people ain't never got me paid. So you tell me, what is it that I should be doing in order for me to elevate myself but still in some way help my community?
The very best question you can ask me right now. Okay. Here's it is. And 2025, really bore this out. You follow me a lot. My 2025 was very, 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 very interesting. And one of the most interesting parts about it was, God really put it on me. Thou shalt not celebrate mediocrity. Thou shalt not celebrate mediocrity. And the reality of it is, in our community, what we've done is we tend to justify other people's, wrongdoing because it justifies why we are doing or why we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Period. That's just full stop. In the story, it justifies why we're not doing and why why we're not glorifying God, why we're not why we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing, and we know what we're supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. Period. Let's just get that straight. We know what we're supposed to be doing. Okay. So, but thou shalt not celebrate mediocrity, and it's a standard, and that's the thing. Back to the we lost our standards. Let's just be real. When me and you was younger. And here's the thing: when we moved to Indianapolis in 1984, I saw something I never saw before. Okay. That was actually when the community was actually about to die. Let's be honest with you, it was about to die. Crack was about to come in, gangs, was going to come in. But for a moment, I got to see community. I got to see the fruit guy. I got to see ice cream trucks. I got to see gardens. I got to see the insurance man. I got to see. The kids, we played in the street. We literally played in the street. All of us. We played in the street. All of us, all day long. All we needed was a ball and 10 of us. And we played in the street, curveball. I saw actual literal community. And there were standards still. And when the standards left, because even back then, because even like this woman was saying, back then, if you was a mess, we call it being a mess. Back then, you was over there. Go over there with that mess. You know what I'm saying? You wasn't the whole group of us wasn't in that mess. Right. And then mess became the thing. And here we are 40 years later. Now we're seeing the propitiation of it. But the fact about standards, it's up to us now. Now we're the elders and we're the seniors now.
Yeah.
It's a standards.
I think that I'll tell you, one of the hardest things for me in this business, and me being honest, the media business is very, very difficult for Black people. And when someone, and then when you think about me, when I started over a decade ago with Black on Black Network and still have the 3 radio stations, the crazy thing is, I don't even think we know how to support. I think that most Black people, and when we look in our community, it's like people don't even understand it. So it's like you're trying to do this thing. Just hear this really quickly. Mm-hmm. If I were to start a financial planning business, right? Or if I were to go work for a financial planning company, or if I went to work for a big insurance company and I was going to be an agent, the first thing that they tell me to do, they say, write a list of all your family, all your friends, and community, and then go target them. They don't even understand that is a complete fail out the gate. They don't even know that. Their community is so used to working together that they hire a Black person and think that we are that communal. And you go out here, your own mama will tell you, I've been with my insurance this long and I'm not changing because you got a job. So when we look at being an entrepreneur, it's almost like it's sacrilege for us to ask for people to plant a seed in our business. Listen, talk about this. Our people will give money with no return on investment at a church, and only one person will make all the money. And they will put, and never see advancement. Never see a give back. Never see any of that. But then they find the things that they could, and they say, I ain't giving you a dime. So if I ask for something, they're like, nah, ain't nobody helping you build your business. But not thinking, ain't thinking God don't need your money. His kingdom's already built. But we'll give that as if that money is going straight to God, skipping the preacher. So when I look at this and I'm like, the last thing that I see in our community is us helping us. So it's very, very difficult for the entrepreneur. It's almost like they call us a sellout if we go over here and start getting what supports us. People we will be just irate to look and say, Greg Merriweather is working with white people. And I'm like,
well, here's the thing. Here's the reality. Here's one of the biggest problems that we have, and this is emerged. This hasn't always been this way, but this has emerged, especially for Black-owned businesses. You know, I'm a Black-owned business, but I'm not a Black-only business.
Preach.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not a Black-only business. I'm a Black-owned business. I'm Black and I own a business, but I'm not a Black-only. My business is literally for business, for business, for the market, for Mr. Market. My business is for Mr. Market. And the problem that we have is we're building businesses, you know, thinking, okay, you know, I'm just going to be for us. Here's the reality. Us don't have the economy to support a business.
Facts.
Period. Just you know, that's just dollars and cents. That's just numbers, right?
Yeah.
The reality of it is if you're building a business, I don't care what your business is, if it's not for the market, build a business for the market. You know, we need manufacturing. What does the market want? Manufacturing. The market wants, you know, everybody's talking about data centers. Guess what? That's a decision that's already been made. People can cry about it all they want. You know, the reality of it is the numbers are showing in, you know, the next 3 to 4 years, you know, energy is the number one thing. So build a business that focuses on energy. You know, developing software, that's done. AI is here now. You know, SaaS is out. The reality of it is, you know, what does the market want? Well, the market's telling you. Ask the state. You know, you live in Indiana. What does the state of Indiana want?
Yeah.
You know, what is what's the projection? What's the plan? What's the 50-year plan? What's the 100-year plan? You know, the United States. What's the United States want? You know, we have. You know.
Here's something though. I got to challenge you on this, bro. It's because I'm looking and I'm like, but we do have the money to build businesses. Ask Nike. Ask Polo. Ask Coach. Ask Louis Vuitton. Ask Gucci. You know.
Ask Hennessy.
Ask Hennessy. Ask all these companies that we are the numero uno consumer in. But when it comes down to saying, listen, I watched a clip, brother, and it was Drink Champs, and they had Pusha T on there, and he was talking to Nori, and they was talking about all these watches, you know, and they felt so empowered to be able to wear these other people. But I guarantee you they will never put that money into creating it. So when I look and I'm like, all right, bro, you're an entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur. It's like people don't look and say, man, we got to make sure Greg make it.
Exactly. Because like I told you before, you know, especially in dealing with you, it's important for me that you make it.
Sure. We've been riding on that forever.
Yeah. It's important for me. It's important for me. You know what I'm saying? I can't speak for nobody. It's important for me that you make it. It's important for me that this one makes it, that this one makes it. You know, the people that I deal with, it's important for me that the people that I deal with, you know, especially I had to kind of get the blinders on people that I deal with, because the reality of it is I'm cut a certain way. So those who deal with me are the people who God has said, okay, this is who's going to deal with you. I said, cool, great. The reality of it is it's impactful for me that y'all make it, because here's the reality. A lot of y'all are older than me, you know, just a little bit older than me to a lot older than me.
Don't for those people, 1 year, calm down.
but I look at you, you know, you're a leader for me. You know, I need for my leaders to be strong. I need for my leaders have been under attack for a long time. My leaders have been killed, maimed, beat down, you know, just beat down to my leaders. I'm like, okay, here's the thing. I'm gonna support my leaders, because my father taught me, if he could teach me one thing, to lift up your leaders, lift up those who are there, you know, support those who are leading you. Here's the thing, everybody, that's it. And everybody can't lead, and everybody can't lead me. Everybody, that's the thing, you know, and it's not, I don't choose the coach. The coach, you know, what's the saying? When the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
That's real.
You know, the reality of it is those who can lead me, those who can coach me, have to be cut from a certain cloth. I'm not picking it. They come in. It's just is what it is. But here's the reality. I looked up. There was nobody else. There was no. I'm like, wow. We see what's at the top. I mean, let's be honest. After the Obama administration, it's been downhill. That was the crescendo. If you want to talk about the country, the Obama administration was the crescendo. That was the crescendo. That was this American experiment. We hit our crescendo. Everybody was great. Like, wow, we're just doing. Well, we found out a lot in the past 10 years.
President. No, they can't.
Well, the past 10 years, now we see what comes from
what it did. Yeah.
What comes from it. And the reality of it is now, here's the kicker. Here's what's funny. I don't mind talking about politics, but once I passed Donald Trump once on the street, like in real life, right? In Indianapolis. Walking across the street right there on Meridian. I walked, it was back in about 2001. About 2001 by the federal courthouse. I was delivering pizza. This right before I got into management, right?
Sure.
And I'm going this way. He's coming that way. I looked over. I said, that's Donald Trump. We're crossing the street at the same time. And I'm like, and he's walking by himself, walking across the street, right? And he gets to the corner, and a lot of people come over rushing to him, and then he pops up his head, and he's like, they're like, you Donald Trump? And I thought to myself at that time, I said, who would have thunk it? I never thought he'd be president. But I said to myself, well, he can't do nothing for me, so I'm gonna go about my business. So I went back to deliver my pizza, right? But that was a literal thing that happened in my life. Fast forward here 25 years later, and the world is like it is. I'm saying this to say, I've realized a long time ago, okay, I got to do something. I got to step up. I got to be the man that God created for me to be. And it's been very hard, Greg. It's been extremely hard. It's been so hard. It's the book that's going to come out about how hard this has been. See, I can't just sit here and tell you in an hour how hard it's really been. As a matter of fact, that's why I write a lot of these books I'm writing now, and that's why I publish them, so that way you kind of get an idea, a sense of. But the reality of it is, I'm blessed beyond measure. I'm not desperate. I'm not desperate. I've built these businesses to this point and to this level now, and they fed back into way more people than they've even fed into me. And even like with the seminar, this is for those who come to get fed. For those who come to get fed and to come into collaboration and it's not networking. This right here is consortium. This is let's get down to business. This is not that this is not I'm not coming here for. I mean, if people take pictures, great, but this is not a photo op. This is not a photo op. This is a let's get down to business. Let's get serious about these businesses, because I know too many people who have businesses that are not made for the future that's coming.
Sure.
So
somebody says, Lil Wayne Brown 6598 asks a question. As Black men in today's time, what leadership can you two give back to the community? I think that's an interesting question. We probably don't know Lil Wayne Brown. I probably don't. But I'll say this for me. I think that for what I've done politically, what I do from a community perspective, what we take for granted is our voices. So owning Black media, I think a lot of people discount it, but I think that when you start hearing intellectual conversations and you get to hear from other people and people have dialogues and are able to speak about things, and you take the time to actually listen, and you're not getting what I would consider propaganda or a narrative on TV that can stir you or keep you a certain way. I think that this is probably one of the largest contributions that I do towards my community, for the simple fact that I've created avenues for people to be able to hear truth. I've created 3 online radio stations so that there is never an excuse for you to say, I can't advertise, I can hear my own narrative, I can create my own shows, not just me, but anyone who is willing or wants to pay for the time on my airlines, they can do it on 3 radio stations. And I think that is more powerful than we realize, but we will rather pay thousands of dollars to be local instead of pay a fraction of that to be international. What do you got, brother?
That's a great question. And the reality of it is, what I realize what I can do, what I must do, what I must do, and what I bring, especially, the brothers that I deal with, I try to bring it out. We have to set and hold the standard. We have to reinstall the standard of not acceptable, like to the video that you showed, not accepting, the status quo, not accepting the mediocre, that's just being honest with it. I mean, not accepting mediocre, not accepting and tolerating. And what does that look like? Well, it starts at home. What I'm saying? When my grandson's in the next room, when I'm telling him, on what do we say, on site, on site, on site, when my son comes to me and he says something or he does something on site, that's where it starts at. That's why I bring it to the community. My nephews, ask them on site, on site immediately. My nieces on site immediately, on site, I'm not going to hold off to, on site. And that's, I'm using the younger ones because that's what we have on site, on site. I'm not going to tolerate the, you're part of my tribe. You're part of my family. No, I'm not accepting that's on site. No, we're not doing that. That's not the standard. Yeah. But here's the thing. And if I turn around though, and they see me doing exactly what I said don't do, now I'm not holding the standard.
I agree.
You see, now I'm not, I have to not just preach the standard, but I have to live the standard. I'm not perfect by any means. Oh Lord, I'm not perfect. Not at all. I mean, the struggle I have with my tongue alone, I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, all I want to do, but trust me when I tell you, you want to talk about, getting on videos. Every day I want to make a video going flip, flop, flap, flap, every day. I want to make a video just, saying what I really want to give it to them like I used to would have gave it to them.
Yeah.
But I carry a banner though. I carry a standard. Not only biblically, but my father who passed away 2 years ago, he built me a certain way. He literally trained my tongue, and he wouldn't allow me to stray from it. Now, but I still struggle. I'm gonna be honest. I struggle, but I hold a standard though. So I'm not gonna sit here and I can't sit here and tell my grandchildren, don't say that. And here it is, Papa running around, blah, 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 blah. Or I'm out here in the streets or I'm out here drinking like I used to drink. I used to be an alcoholic. I used to smoke weed. I used to smoke. I used to do all of that. I can't tell them don't do it, and I'm still doing it. You know what I'm saying? I'm still doing it. So I quit cussing because I got to set a standard. I quit drinking because I got to set a standard. I quit smoking because I got to set a standard. I loved and enjoyed doing all of those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really did. You know what I'm saying?
So let's go there. So the window is open. What does that mean? We got a few minutes.
Open. Yeah, the window is open. What that means is this is, due to AI and opportunity to learn in real time, we all have it's a flattening that's occurred. It's a flattening that's occurred. We all have, there's none exempt. If you can hear if you're watching this on a device, first and foremost, you're already in the game.
Yeah. You're
already in the game. If you're watching this on a device right now, you're already in the game. So let's go. The reality of it is you have an opportunity right now, the same opportunity. Let's be honest. There's a reason why we look at Elon Musk because he's at the top. He's the richest man in the world, they say, right?
Yep.
Is he more comfortable or is he less uncomfortable now? The reality of it is he's less uncomfortable now.
He's uncomfortable.
Yeah, he's very uncomfortable. He's like, I got to get this done. I got to get to Mars. I got to, build it, on the moon. He's working. If there's 168 hours in a week, minus sleep, he's working it.
He's working.
Okay, dig this here.
Agreed.
And he's got 865 billion. Okay, right. You've got negative EBITDA over here.
Right.
You got negative EBITDA, but you have this device. Oh, well, you have tools in your hand right now that you can put to work. Developing this, developing that, getting your messages out. Like a lot of the messaging that I put out, I'm not an extrovert. I don't personally need my face. I'm not trying to be popular. I don't need nobody to see me personally, internally. But the reality of it is, from a marketing standpoint, but my brand, like I market, what's your brand? People need to see and know that, okay, I'm out here. Okay, here's what it is. I'm not doing it because I like the attention. I don't need attention. You know what I'm saying? I don't need attention myself personally. But my businesses, they need attention. It's called marketing. my business, this event, needs attention. It's called marketing. This event, the window is open because now we have opportunity. Now this event, this window's closing fast though, because everything's getting locked behind paywalls. You're not going to be able to, eventually, you're not going to be able to even watch this for free. You know what I'm saying?
Agreed.
Because you got to be, you got to pay to get on Facebook, got to pay to get on YouTube. You got to pay.
People don't realize, man, that to do this stuff, it costs money. It does.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we've had an opportunity for the past several years to get a lot of organic free reach. Well, that's going away.
Yeah.
Modifying though. The window's open right now for you to embed your business. Here's the kicker. Now, and I'll leave it at this. Embed your business in cyberspace. Here's the thing. A few years ago, I learned something that I do and I orchestrate this. If you can't go to ChatGPT and hear about your business, you don't need to focus on nothing else right now. Until ChatGPT says, okay, this is what your business is and this is what it does. And how does it learn? Because it's learning from cyberspace. It's learning from the internet. It's learning from scraping information. It's learning from data entry, data inputs. If your business is not being put in, worst thing that's happening to people is they're making $2.50 out here on the street, hand to hand, because somebody likes them. You know what I'm saying? They think that they're doing it. No, your business is dying. It's probably dead. You just don't realize it. The fact of the matter is that word of mouth is great if you have it. That's nice and everything. It can't grow. It's not going to scale. And if you can't be found on the internet, if AI cannot find your business, you won't have a business in the very near future. Period. No matter what you think, And so the window is open now for us to join small businesses who are willing to work together. Just like I said about my father's businesses earlier. These men, Indianapolis, that's why I'm hosting this in Indianapolis, because I'm going to be honest with you. I don't live in Indianapolis. It's 100 miles for me to go to Indianapolis. I was going to have it out here personally. I mean, and I'll probably have another one out here.
Sure.
The reality of it is we got work to still get done in Indianapolis. We have, and I'm thankful that, I'm partnering with Refinery 46, for us to host it down there. That's where I spent a lot of time. That's where we did a lot of events at. I got a lot of blood, sweat, and tears down there. And I got a great relationship with them. So we partnered together and we're hosting it down there. So I'm like, we got to bring more people now. That's right there in Indianapolis.
So we got about 3 minutes. Break down.
Okay.
Tell us about the conference, your business, when it's happening, where is it, what time is it, so on and so forth.
Okay. The seminar is going to be May the 7th from 10 to 4. You got to get registered. You got to get a ticket. It's not just to come as you are. You got to get registered for it. Go to Montgomery2320.com. You can register there, or go to AIamerica.top, and you can get registered there for the event. It's going to be at 46 in Keystone is where it's located. It's actually 46 in Hillside. Refinery 46. You can't miss it. Used to be the old Double Lake building. I love how they transformed it. Got restaurants in there. I mean, the venue is awesome. We had our office down there for a few years at Food by the Word. That's where Food by the Word first had a physical location, and that's where we started having all these networking events and everything. And that's where our other second business was born out of, Montgomery 2320, in helping people develop their businesses. Okay. That's how that got created. But also go to foodbytheword.com. Check it out. We have over 650 products on there. If you can't, bulk up on some items, cool, great. But also, get the ebooks. You can download them and read them right now. We have 10 different original contents, all original. Me and my father wrote, I'm saying, these books. And plus, inviting other authors, who want to get their ebooks on there, holla at me and we'll go ahead and put it on there, because here's the reality. Food by the Word is community. If you have a product that you can sell, that you want Food by the Word to sell, get with me. We'll put it on our product line. Let's get it out there. That's what I do with we have some art on there, from our artist that's out in Colorado Springs. She has a lot of dynamic art that we're posting on there and everything. And you can purchase it from our website. So foodbytheword.com. And here's how I want you to think about foodbytheword.com. Foodbytheword.com is Amazon that's run by Christians that's glorifying God. If you want to, it's just that simple. Foodbytheword.com. And so check us out. But check out the event. This is and the seats are limited. Oh, that's another thing. Seats are limited and they're running out. So get in now. Time is not your friend.
And in this, in this, they'll be talking about business. Business.
We're gonna be talking about business, and plus you're gonna leave with at least a handful of applicable tools that you'll be able to utilize into your business immediately. If you're going to get out of it what you put into it.
Okay. So I'll go through this. Jay, Robert Montgomery through Montgomery 2320 Business Development Services is partnering with Refinery 46 to host a business development seminar, Refinery 46 Indianapolis, on May 7th, 2026 from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. This is not hype. This is structure. This is durability, profitability, growth. This is for people who are trying to dominate the next cycle, not survive. So, brother, I give you 1 minute. Tell me, give me your last words.
Thank you for getting me on here, Greg. The reality of it is, thou shalt not celebrate mediocrity. The reality of it is we got to do better, and when we know better, you do better. And this is not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. It's not for the faint of heart, but it's necessary, and we got to do this. And we have to get back the businesses that we lost and build more.
I appreciate that. I appreciate it. My brother, it has been great having you on. I'm sure you know we're gonna always be in touch with each other. So I'm sure, man, we'll catch up before the conference, sit down and chop it up as we normally do. But I appreciate you for coming through, bro. And I'll make sure, we'll you share that information. I'll make sure I share it on my page again.
I will.
All right, my brother. Have a great one, brother. Peace. All right, man. Listen, we can't always talk politics. Sometimes we got to get some other stuff on. But here's what I'm gonna say. It's about opportunity. It's like when people have things they want to do, can do, should do. This is about people who are trying to make a difference in our community. This is about people who are looking and saying, I'm willing to sacrifice. I'm willing to build. I'm willing to give. I'm willing to try. And I said this before. I said this on my earlier live, that we have to be better agents of pulling people from the top up. Okay? We got to be willing to work with people who are ripe for success. I know when it's all said and done, all our programs, think about this, for the most part, I won't say all is tough, but the vast majority of the programs that live in Black communities are trying to work from the bottom to the top, as opposed to creating a program that says, who's at the top? And let's make sure that we're there to help them make it. We gotta be those people too. It ain't always about feeding the poor. Sometimes it's about making sure the people who can get rich, and then have them help more people get there. Shortest distance traveled. And we got to be better agents of being those people. Because until we start doing that, I'm afraid that we'll continue doing the same thing, seeking a result that we're not seeking. And here's the other thing. They've made it to where you can make a lot of money quickly being a clown. They've made it to where you can make a lot of money showing your tail. They've made that happen. Here's what I'm going to tell you. That money, if you get it, it's going to have to last you a lifetime because of the reputation that you build. And if it's not enough money to last you a lifetime, you should probably consider doing something else. Because ladies, if you're show and tell at 18 and you do it and you make a lot of money till you're about 25, know this, I hope you hold on to it, because this thing you see in front of me where I'm raising and waving my hand, this is a record-keeping device. It's called a camera. And these are on platforms that you don't own. So therefore, when you decide to think you can take it down because you want to develop a different image, know this, it's not that easy. It's not that easy. And I'm going to tell you, I didn't think I'd be 53, but I'm glad that a lot of this stuff did not exist. A lot of this stuff didn't exist. So you probably didn't get to see me be the clown that I probably was. But you all are those people now. And if you are keeping record of your foolishness on someone else's platform, know this, in time, the same thing that helped you find some money can be the same thing that leads you to the poorhouse. Be wise and what it is that you're doing on these cameras, because they're records. I'll leave it at that. So anyway, man, tomorrow we're going to have, I believe we got Annette Johnson on tomorrow. She is running for, she is the incumbent in Pike Township, who is running again to be the trustee for Pike Township. She'll be on at noon. Wednesday, we're going to have Pastor Green. He is running for Senate. He'll be on at noon. And then we'll have Gregory Patrick, I believe, who is running for sheriff, Center Township, and he's running for sheriff, rather, for Marion County. So he'll be on noon on Thursday. Listen, I'm doing something crazy today, and I just don't trip. It's just happening because I'm just like, listen, I'm a person who will go talk to anyone. So I'm supposed to be taking a ride. I'm supposed to be getting picked up today by the lieutenant governor for us to have a conversation. So I'm supposed to be riding with Micah Beckwith this afternoon, and we're going to have a conversation. And I'm going to definitely tell y'all about this experience, but I'm definitely supposed to be getting picked up by the lieutenant governor today, this afternoon, probably around 4 or 5 o'clock. And he and I going to ride, his driver, I guess, we're going to go and chop it up for a minute. But I'm definitely going to tell y'all about this experience. So be looking for that tomorrow or at some time when I get done chopping it up with the lieutenant governor. So this has been y'all's brother. I appreciate y'all. Continue to support the Unmitigated Truth. Share the videos. It's very, very important that you do that because this is the only way that we can grow. So that, and if you feel like Mary Mind Creations is the business that backs the Unmitigated Truth, we have our own Cash App. So if you want to donate to the show, feel free, or under Greg Merriweather. This has been our show. I look forward to seeing y'all tomorrow. Have a great one. It's 317 all day. I love y'all. Peace.